Milton Hershey School in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Learn more about this fulfilling career at mhskids.org/discover.
And now, WIS-TV traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
All right, let's take a look at your traffic and weather one more time on this Wednesday morning. Couple accidents to report, one at Clemson Road and I-20, another one at Hardscrabble Road and Smith Young Road. A few accidents on I-20, as more accidents on I-20, one eastbound at Highway 378 and one westbound at Fairfield Road, and then one at 378 near Old Eastover Road. High today, a little bit cooler than yesterday, 61 degrees. Tomorrow, 74, and then 79 on Friday. That's your traffic and weather here in the Air of the Game.
Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. The Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on 107.5 The Game app.
9 o'clock. Good Wednesday morning to you. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Belcher along with you here, navigating you through your week. Only, 4 days until the Super Bowl. We're getting a little bit warmer there. It's really funny how Bill and Preston can get the folks riled up, and then we have to come in here at 9 o'clock and handle the that energy going forward for the rest of the morning. Did you listen to what they were debating this morning?
Oh, no, I didn't. What happened?
It was 3 hours of a lot of GOAT debates.
Oh.
Revolving around, is Kendrick Lamar potentially the GOAT rapper?
He is coming off a great run at the Grammys, too.
He is doing very well.
So.
But much like the LeBron-Jordan debate and all that kind of stuff, you're never going to get people to collectively agree on who the greatest rapper of all time is. And look, I love Kendrick Lamar. I'm very excited for Super Bowl Sunday. I don't put him as my number one personally. I told Bill and Preston, I got Eminem up there. I think Eminem's the greatest of all time because I think it also depends on what you look for.
Yeah.
I love witty lyricals, right? And Kendrick Lamar very good at that. But like some of the things that Eminem will write in his songs will blow your mind when you sit there and think about it, right? Like that's what I appreciate in the rap game. Lil Wayne's also very good at that. But not everybody goes for those kind of things.
Yeah, and I think both those guys have been around for so long. I can remember listening to Kendrick in like middle school, and then Eminem like bringing out like Not Afraid and stuff back in like when I was like a kid. So it's like these guys have been around forever, and they're so good at what they do. But I think the younger crowd. Maybe not us necessarily. I like Kendrick. I like Eminem. But like I think the younger crowd probably vibes with Kendrick more.
Yeah.
And then you got the older crowd that grew up with Eminem that probably likes him a lot more. So it depends on the age range.
It depends on the age range. It also depends on, how that music resonates with you. Because, and they brought up the point that Preston was making, and I'm not trying to go down this path completely for ourselves for this show, but we are very reluctant to call things happening right now the greatest, the GOATs, whatever it may be. People are reluctant to say, well, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time. One, because he's in the middle of his career, but two, because, 20 years ago it was Tom Brady, and up until a few years back. And then you had Joe Montana before that. Like, we like to associate things of the past, and whether that be because you were a kid and everything's better when you were a kid, or just the fact that today's football doesn't compare to how it was years and years ago. We're very reluctant to say what's happening right now could potentially be the greatest of whatever we're trying to debate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the GOAT debate is so. It can really vary depending on who you talk to. I mean, like, obviously with the NFL, we probably consider Tom Brady the GOAT. And then in basketball, it could either be – I've seen people throw Kobe in the mix, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I think Kobe's right there at number 3, in my opinion. But that's another topic for another day, man.
There's a lot of sports discussions. I've been doing this for almost 9 years now. And I will never, ever get into the LeBron Jordan debate. I will never do it. I will never go down that path because it's a tireless debate that will just continue to go in circles, and I will never do it.
But who would you lean towards?
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go there.
I mean, I don't know. If we're basing this just off of rings, it's got to be Jordan. But like pure talent and just skill, I think it's got to be. I don't know. I think it's got to be LeBron.
It goes in circles.
It does, man. It does. There is
no definitive answer to it.
But there's also no wrong answer.
There's no wrong answer. There's also no right answer.
Yeah,
so again, whatever you choose to believe, that's fine. And I'm of the camp of, going back to a couple years ago when Brady and Mahomes squared off in that Super Bowl. And I remember the discussion leading into it was, well, if Mahomes can't beat Brady, then he can never claim to be better than him. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's so dumb. Why can't we just allow these guys to exist on their own? If Patrick Mahomes has 12 Super Bowls, great. If he only has 4 Super Bowls, that's fine too, or whatever it may be. Like, these guys can exist on their own without being, okay, well, he's got to be the greatest. No, he's got to be the greatest. Like, that's just my thoughts and feelings.
But in the grand scheme of the GOAT debate, though, it is true. He hasn't really beaten Brady in the playoffs. So he lost the AFC
Well, he's never going to have the chance to.
Exactly.
Because they only crossed paths for
twice.
So many years.
Yeah. So
I mean, technically speaking, when was Jordan's last year? Was it 03?
03.
So...
But they never met in the playoffs.
They never met in the playoffs. I guess they would have played in the
regular season. But the regular season, who cares? It's like,
but again, like the opportunity for those two to cross paths was so minuscule, and I'd say largely the same thing because Brady's last season was 2022. So I mean that was Mahomes' 4th year as a starter. So I don't think you can even say, well, they crossed paths enough to really have this head-to-head debate. No, they didn't. I mean, they met twice in the playoffs, one AFC Championship game, which the Patriots won, and then the Super Bowl, which the Buccaneers won. So, yeah, Brady's 2-0 against him, but I'm not saying that disqualifies Mahomes from potentially being better than him in the long run.
We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Sunday, I think, goes a long way in determining how Mahomes is viewed. Like, if he wins another Super Bowl, no team has ever had there's never been a three-peat, surprisingly enough. If they can get a three-peat on Sunday, which I do think is very much possible, then I think you really do spark up that conversation, whether you like it or not.
Again, I'm not trying to divulge into the go debate, but going off the heels of what Bill and Preston were talking about, I had to get some thoughts out there. Though I do believe that, in my opinion, based on my qualifications for what I look for in rap music, I put Eminem above everybody else. Though, if you have a different opinion, that's totally fine, and I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Yeah, very true. Well said. I'd have to agree with you on that last point.
All right, we do have to hit our 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick Me Up to get things rolling this morning.
Time to get hyped.
Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm.
Sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick Me Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or work, call George Sink now at 803 all nines. I think it's funny. If there was one debate about GOATs that I don't think really many people have arguments against, it's Nick Saban being the greatest college football coach of all time. And yes, he even surpassed the great Bear Bryant many, many years ago before he ever retired. Like, I think most people collectively agree that is the case, which is why it's so hard if you're in Kalen DeBoer's shoes to try and follow up the greatest of all time. And I imagine it's probably not sitting well with a lot of people that FanDuel put out their win projections yesterday for what they consider to be contenders in all the Power Four conferences. Alabama's at 8.5 wins. Oh, my God. If Alabama wins anything less than 9 games, they might actually show up at Kalen DeBoer's house with pitchforks and torches.
Oh, yeah. Like, if they don't surpass that win total by, like, a wide margin, if they're not getting 10 or more wins, heck, even 11 wins, like, you need to be – if you're Alabama, you got to be back in the playoff. Like, there's no missing the playoff again this year because I think Alabama's administration might not necessarily – go ahead and fire him. But the fan base, they're gonna show their vote of no confidence in him.
Here's the thing: if they are not ready to move on from Kalen DeBoer, they'll show up at Greg Burns' house, the athletic director, with pitchforks and torches and make that decision very easy for him. Because again, what happened this year was unacceptable.
Yeah.
Because again, we kind of know the line here. You got to get to about 10 wins if you want to make the playoff. And if you're at 8 wins, going 8-4, I don't care who those 8 wins are against, you're not getting in. And 2 years missing the playoffs as the coach at Alabama and an expanded 12-team field, unacceptable.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Like, it's one thing if it's a 4-team playoff still and you miss it, in the fashion that you did. Okay, whatever. That's still viewed as a bad season, but it's like, okay, 4 teams. It's 12 teams. If you are missing the playoff for 2 years in a row, the Alabama Crimson Tide still got some of Saban's players on the team. I mean, I don't know what to tell you if they don't make the playoffs, and if it's in the same fashion again. Like, you can't be losing games to Vandy and Oklahoma, teams that you should be. I think curb stomping is one way to put it. So we'll see. But Alabama, I think they have no choice but to at least get to 10 wins.
It's really interesting because, again, this does not go for the entire SEC. This is what FanDuel considers to be the small list of contenders in each conference, and they only have 6 teams in the SEC: Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, and funny enough, Florida, who we talked about yesterday, was in Andy Staples' projected college football playoff. There's no team in the SEC on this list favored for more than 9.5 wins. They are, according to this, expecting another year of chaos and parity, specifically in the SEC.
I think so. I don't think it's that much of a stretch, considering the schedule is the same, just flipped. Like, there are going to be teams beating up on each other. Florida's going to get beat up, I think, again a little bit this upcoming season, but they'll also do a little bit of the beating up on their end with the schedule. I mean, it's just bound to happen. Like, they're not going to go 2-10, I don't think. Like, they're going to win some games and beat up some teams that maybe you would think they wouldn't beat. But I think that's why they're in the mix. I'm not sure. But I think it makes sense, though. Like, you're not going to put like Notre Dame's, for instance, at 10.5 wins. I don't think you're going to do that for any of these SEC teams. Number one, because they play a different schedule completely.
Yeah.
But if you're like the SEC, I mean, it feels right that Georgia, Texas, Tennessee also are your 9.5 wins. I'm just surprised after the season that they had that South Carolina is not on this list at all, which leads me to believe the win total must be really low, but I don't know.
And again, this isn't the entire SEC, and this is only one outlet. This is just FanDuel. There's kind of one of the first ones to release it, which is why we're talking about it. But if Florida's on this list at 6.5, that leads you to believe that Carolina's win total would be under that, which I'm assuming is probably somewhere around 6.0 specifically, which, given all that they've lost, I can understand skepticism. I don't think they're going to fall off a cliff necessarily, but, saying at this point, okay, we might think they're going to win less than 9 games isn't outside the realm of possibility. You know what I mean? But seeing Florida at 6.5 and Carolina not being featured on that list is a little surprising.
It's not like you said, I don't think it would be that crazy to think that South Carolina is going to not underperform necessarily, but win less than 9 games this year. Like, I could totally see a world where they lose 4 games and they go 8-4, because the schedule, I think, it's still tough, obviously. And I think they have some intriguing road games that they could easily drop, like the A&Ms, the Ole Misses, and the LSUs of the world. I think South Carolina could easily go in and lose those games. At the same time, though, I don't think they're going to be a 6-win team. Like, I don't think they're going to be stooping back down to that necessarily. That would be kind of just, if that were to happen, then it's like, okay, like, there's just no consistency with this thing. Like, they had a great year, then they took a massive step backwards, and it would lead me to believe that, okay, like, the transfer portal pickups just did not hit the same as what you got out of those guys. So I feel like everything with this season is really dependent on what those guys do, but you also need your other guys to step up, like Sellers and Dylan Stewart, which they already have, but do it on a bigger level.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see, because, and we can kind of talk about this on the other side, based on what these win projections are for other teams in these other conferences, if parity is something that we should be expecting across college football.
Just download the 107.5 The Game app.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20K off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Tyler Head here for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist. Man, yesterday's weather was phenomenal. I was wearing a t-shirt, got some sunshine. It was great. And we're going to have great weather for seemingly the rest of the week. But rain does return at the beginning of next week. And if you've got an open crawl space under your home and either recently experienced a storm or know some rain's coming, you might end up with some standing water underneath there, which can cause a laundry list of problems under your home because that humidity and condensation can create things like mold, can invite mildew and pest underneath your home, which affects not only your home itself, but your family, the air that you breathe. Obviously, critters running around inside your home. You don't want any of that. That's where our friends at Canty Foundation Specialist come in. Go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfix.com. If you're having issues with your crawl space or foundation, they'll come out, assess your problems, and help it get fixed so you and your family can live comfortably going forward. Again, go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfix.com.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man.
Hi, this is Chastity from the Guttermen. Have the fall leaves clogged your gutters? The pros at the Guttermen can keep the clutter out of your gutter and your downspouts. Look for our guys in the powder blue trucks. Call me at 803-791-7147 or visit us online at theguttermen.com.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man.
The only thing worse than hiring no law firm after your injury is hiring the wrong law firm. And there are so many of them. When thousands of people call us every year asking to help them change law firms and hire us instead, I wonder why they ever called the other firm in the first place. They were smart to switch before it was too late. You only get one day in court. You know who has the resources and results to fight to handle your claim. And the big insurance company on the other side, they know it too. They know us well. You have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. Walk our way. When you're fighting to get what you deserve, it's go big or go home. We are big for a reason, which is why we've recovered over $9 billion for our clients. When it comes to law, size matters. We're America's largest injury law firm, Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Looking for a great job with a winning team? Join American Italian Pasta Company, part of Winland Foods, right here in Columbia, where they've been proudly producing Mueller's pasta for nearly 30 years. They offer competitive pay, great benefits like 401k match, and paid parental leave. They're hiring industrial multi-craft maintenance techs, packaging and press operators. Positions available on both first and second shifts. A high school diploma or GED and manufacturing experience are required. Apply today at winlandfoods.com/careers and grow with us.
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet. Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
Enjoy up to 70% off premium products, designer handbags, gift cards from national chains, autographed sports memorabilia, cruises, hotel accommodations, and more. SweetDeals.com. Click Premium.
Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
The Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler and Jack Veltri along with you here on your Wednesday on the Game. No midweek game for men's basketball this week. Carolina calls with Coach Bears coming up tomorrow night at 6 o'clock here on the Game in Columbia, as well as 100.3 The Game out in Myrtle Beach. Women's basketball in action tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, taking on Georgia. Pre-game coverage and tip at 5:30 pregame. Tip is at 6 o'clock on our sister station, 98.5 WOMG. Taking a look back at this list of FanDuel win projections for what they deem to be the contenders of college football for 2025. So not an entire list of everybody in the conferences, but basically kind of the top half of most of the Power Four conferences included on this list. We said that the highest win projections in the SEC, Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee all tied with 9.5, Alabama at 8.5, LSU at 8.5, and then Florida at 6.5. So nobody projected to win 10 games based on this list. The highest total projections, at least for the Power Four, are tied Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and then Notre Dame. And I feel like most years we see at least one team that's projected at like 11.5, right? Which says, okay, they're either going to go undefeated, they're going to lose one game. So the fact that the best totals here are teams that are expected to lose between 1 and 2 games, is that furthering the idea that we are probably going to see just a mess of parity across college football every single year now, like we saw this past season, which created a lot of entertainment, a lot of fun, where you tune in every single week saying, okay, what top 10 team's going to get upset, what small team, what underdog team's going to be a big team, whatever it may be. Made for a great season that I think is going to go down as the greatest in college football history in a lot of people's minds. Is that what we should expect going forward now?
I'm not sure necessarily if that's going to be the case. Like, it could just be a one-year thing where teams just ended up like bad teams ended up just beating really good teams at random this year. Like, I don't think we're going to see. I could be wrong on this. Maybe Notre Dame loses to like a Northern Illinois again for the second year in a row. But like, I think more realistically, like Power Four upsets, like a smaller, like I'm trying to think of an example here, but like when Kansas beat Colorado. I know that's not the best example, but like
sure,
at the time, like Kansas was really struggling, Colorado was on the rise, and then Kansas just randomly beats Colorado. So it's stuff like that where upsets I think are going to randomly happen. They always will, but the rate at which it happened, like dude, it was every single week something new would happen. Like Oklahoma beat Alabama. That was totally random. Just Auburn beating Texas A&M. It's just all these random upsets. And I think the fact that, like with the Big Ten, for example, you have Oregon now in the picture. You have all these different schools all clustered together. It's not just the old Big Ten as we know.
Mm-hmm.
It's now this new version where you have Oregon, Washington, UCLA. Creates odds of having more parity and chaos and stuff. And so I do think it's possible that you match up, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, all up against each other. Someone's got to lose. So I think it makes sense that there's not like an 11.5 win total on here.
And the reason why so much of this parity happens, according to many people, including myself, is because of things like the transfer portal, things like NIL, where you just see this high roster turnover pretty much from everyone every single year. I mean, even the best of the best in college football are routinely losing between, 12 to 20 players every single year. And not all those guys are starters or main contributors, but some schools, your leading wide receiver may end up leaving because, they don't like the NIL deal they're getting, or they think that they're a better fit in whatever system. You have the flexibility to do that and go and pursue those opportunities now based on the current rules of college football. And if things continue down this path, I think we could see a lot more parity going forward. I'm interested to see, with the new revenue sharing that we assume is going to be in place for the fall. They still have to have the final hearing coming up here in a couple months to determine that for sure. But when you have what I'm assuming are going to be contract type things that could lock guys into schools for multiple years, where they are making a share of the revenue from the individual schools, does that stop that? Does that prevent guys? No, the transfers aren't going to stop, and guys pursuing NIL deals aren't going to stop either. But maybe it won't be to the same degree that we're experiencing right now, where again it's 3,000 some odd players that went in the transfer portal this past offseason.
I'll be very interested to see how things play out with the revenue sharing too, because the main thing is, if you can get guys into a deal, whether it's a 2-year, 3-year deal, basically your length of staying at one college, I think that's a good thing for college athletics, like in general. Like Football, obviously, you're going to have guys transfer all the time. Like, there are going to be guys that just aren't happy and stuff. And here's the other thing. What's going to be fascinating is if there are, let's say, long-term-ish deals. I say long-term, but like in the grand scheme of college, it's a long-term deal. Guys are going to break those easily. And you know it's going to happen. Some guy's going to sign a 3-year deal somewhere, and then he gets an offer from XYZ schools, and it's like $5 million more than what he'd be making at this other school, and it's like, man. And like, how do you break out of those deals and stuff?
And again, this is just purely speculation because there's so much about this that we don't know.
Beyond our pay grade.
Yeah, beyond our pay grade. Because NAL is still going to be a thing where, you're going to have your revenue sharing, and you're also still going to have your collectives that are able to get money from donors, from businesses, sponsors, whatever it may be, that can then go towards paying your athletes in addition to what they're making off of revenue share. I think quarterbacks, star wide receivers, those kind of things are still going to be able to benefit greatly from NIL and probably transfer because of that. But I think the days of, okay, now you have an interior offensive lineman. Oh, this guy was a great right guard that is now potentially getting, $400,000 to go to Ole Miss or something like that. I think those things will probably subside a little bit, to where it kind of maybe is focused on skill position players that, again, you're still going to see transferring, but I don't know if it'll be to the same high degree as we're seeing right now because you're still going to be making good money in general just off the revenue sharing to where it's not only NIL where I think some of these guys, maybe swayed a little bit less, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And it's just insane how many guys, like you mentioned the number there, like it's just you always think it's big, and then it's like it's just insane how many guys enter the portal. And I understand it for the thing is the mid-major, or I say mid-major, group of 5 schools and stuff. Like you're gonna see those players transfer every single year because they're looking for a better opportunity at a P4 school. But it's the P4 schools that it's just like if they're not happy, they're moving on, man. Like it's easy as that. And so hopefully revenue sharing can kind of help alleviate some of that and bind guys into staying at one school for a little bit longer. But then again, I understand that everyone wants opportunities elsewhere and stuff, and different things happen.
Yeah, and we'll certainly have to see. And again, I thoroughly enjoyed this season of college football because it was so fun. It was so chaotic. Again, you tuned in every single week not knowing what was going to happen. And maybe it won't be to the same degree, but if the rules continue to exist the way they are, I think it's going to be somewhat close to that. But again, if revenue sharing comes in and changes all that up, which again, we think it might. We don't know 100% for sure because things have to be finalized with all that. Then we could kind of get back to the status quo, I guess, so to speak, of what college football's been.
I would not say no to another crazy season of college football, though. And I think it can happen. It's just, I don't know. I mean, you're banking on a lot of upsets happening then if that's the case, which I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen every single year, but hey, never know.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly have to see what happens. And again, we'll have a long offseason to debate this and see what happens with revenue sharing when it's all said and done. Roger Goodell spoke the other day in his annual State of the Sport address for the NFL, and when the topic of 18 games was brought up. And if the NFL is going to be going to that anytime in the near future, we'll talk about that coming up next as the Extra Point rolls along. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry along with you on your Wednesday here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia.
100.5 The Game in Florence. And 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
The Game Network, powered by Integrated Media.
The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia.
The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
What's going on, guys? Jack here. It was gorgeous out yesterday. You can't script a better day of weather. But again, it's not all the way there yet. It's a little bit cooler out today. It's going to be a little bit cooler out over the next few days. That's why you should go to AAA. Here's some great news. You can buy a new unit today, and there's no payments or interest for the next 12 months. So you don't have to pay again until 2026. That is awesome. There's also more good news here. You got $1,500 buyback instant rebate, pricing transparency, 15 years parts and labor transferable warranty, 0% interest for qualified buyers, and guaranteed financing. So call AAA like I did 803-677-1500. Again, that is 803-677-1500. Tell them that you heard about them on 107.5 The Game.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hosteller Brown. Do you know the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? The difference could easily save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in long-term care costs. Visit lawyerlisa.com to schedule a consultation today.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Daddy, you need a trust.
Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union presents scenes from Palmetto Citizens job interviews.
Tell me, Emily, what makes you the right fit for our vice president of Getting Pumped role?
Well, I have 8 years of banking experience, and helping people get great rates makes me super excited.
Oh, can you elaborate?
Yeah, sometimes it's like a woo. Other times it's more of a no, yeah.
Wow. Just wow.
Palmetto Citizens. Feel the love. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips here for my good friends at Integrated Media, Columbia's leader in today's technology for your home and business. They've got TVs from Sony and Samsung, surround sound systems from Dolby, Sonos wireless speakers, Wi-Fi that works everywhere, even cameras to see what's going on around your home. They've got you covered. Call Integrated Media at 803-948-8327. Set up a time for them to come out to your house and talk with you about your wants and your needs. You want to cut the cord? They can help. Want one of those beautiful Samsung frame TVs that looks like art when it's not turned on? They do that too. Plus fantastic outdoor systems that let you enjoy your favorite team, movie, TV show, or music while you also enjoy our beautiful South Carolina weather. You can even stop in and see them at the Experience Center, 105 Snapdragon Court and Chapin, and get a real idea of what these things look like in your home. Do what I've done, and many of your friends and neighbors. Call 803-948-8327 and get home theater like never before from Integrated Media.
What's in a name? With Sweet Deals, everything you want at savings you never dreamt possible. No membership fees, no wait. And with the new Sweet Deals Premium tab, everyday deals on brands you know, names you want, savings you need. Sweet Deals Premium. Designer handbags, luxury cruises, accommodations, golf clubs, gift cards, autographed sports memorabilia. Find it all and save big at sweetdeals.com. Click the Premium tab. Shop, buy, save. Up to 70% off. Sweetdeals.com. Premium.
Seeing dust on your baseboards? Give your home a big refresh and call Zera's Air Duct Cleaning. Right now, mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get $75 off your next air duct cleaning. Use promo code AIR75 when scheduling online at ZerasColumbia.com.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. Check out the Season of Love at South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 in Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
And now, a Progressive ad brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive could save big with Progressive. This has been a Progressive ad from Progressive. See if you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or progressive.com.
What you're talking about.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
On the Game Network.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyra and Jack Veltri along with you here on your Wednesday on the Game. Of course, Super Bowl Sunday coming up this Sunday. We're going to have pregame coverage for you starting at 5 o'clock. Kickoff is at 6:30 between the Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles as a part of Super Bowl week. Roger Goodell, NFL commissioner, always gets in front of the media and takes questions in his usual state of the sport address, so to speak, and, of course, gets hammered about a number of things, the hot topics going around the NFL. And one of the ones, based on something he said on the McAfee show back last summer, maybe at the beginning of the season, I forget where they were exactly, about the potential of the NFL going to 18 games, which he did say was potentially in the future. And that's something that he was asked about once again the other day in his State of the Sport address. And here's the latest Goodell had to say about the potential of 18 games in the NFL.
Well, we haven't had any formal negotiating sessions about an extension. I'm certain it'll come up in the context of that in some fashion. it is something that Lloyd and I have had informal conversations about, but there's a lot of work to be done. We committed in 2011 when we signed a collective bargaining agreement that the players would not only have a say in that, but they would actually be able to prevent it from happening or support it from happening. We were able to do that when we moved to 17 games back in 20. And I think it's a large part because of the safety of our game, the advancements that we made in how we're training in the offseason, how we're training in the preseason, and trying to make that. And this year, the data on safety has been extraordinary. I think Jeff Miller went through that, and Alan Sills, our medical director, told you about it. The concussions are at a historically low level this year. We think that's a large result of the efforts that are being made, one, to improve equipment, but also the changes we make in the rules of the game, and also the way we train our players. So I think all of those are factors in how do we look at the offseason and how do we look at that with our partners, the players, and try to continue to make advancements in this case. And if we do, 18-2 might be a possibility, because we know that fans, I think, love football. They want more football, but we have to be incredibly sensitive and smart about the balance and how we deal with that. And I think that's something that I think we're all interested in focusing on, but it hasn't begun yet.
Are we in agreement this is definitely going to happen at some point down the line?
It's going to happen. Like, who's going to say no to more football? Like, I'm certainly not. I know you're probably not. I know just about every single person in this country is probably going to be down with more football.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely going to happen because guess what? It's going to make the NFL more money. If you tell them, because he said an 18-2 proposal, which would be an 18th game and a second bye week, which I personally thought they should have had a second bye week when they went to 17.
Yes.
But especially if you're getting 18 games, you definitely need a second bye week for rest, recovery, and overall health of the players, which the NFL talks about being so committed to, even though they play Thursday Night Football, but that's a different discussion. So you're talking about a 20-week regular season of the NFL in addition to the playoffs. Basically, the NFL would take up half the calendar year. Between the regular season and the playoffs, you're talking about basically close to 26 weeks of NFL football, which, again, I'm not going to complain about it, but it's going to make more money for the NFL because you're going to have more weekends, more games, more things to watch. And, again, I can't imagine how many more billions of dollars of revenue that's going to generate.
No, as if they don't make money hand over fist at this point. They make so much money, and the next thing they need is more money, obviously. And that's ultimately, I think, what it's about. At the same time, though, the trade-off is on the other side here. You are getting, like, the consumer, you're getting another week of football. Mm-hmm. Football, we always complain about how football is ending and stuff, and like this is the final week of the season. Well, hypothetically, in this 18-game format, the Super Bowl wouldn't be until next week, really?
Yeah. So, and that's something a lot of people have looked at as a big pro, that you could potentially push the Super Bowl to President's Day weekend,
which would be so much better.
The majority of people would have the next day off, and people say, "Oh, I hate going to work the day after Super Bowl because you went to a party or you were drinking and having fun watching the game, and then you're not." What's the Monday after the Super Bowl is like the least productive day of like the entire year or something like that. So that would give you a legit holiday that would exempt a lot of people from working the next day. That would make that Super Bowl Sunday probably more enjoyable. And that's not the reason why the NFL would do that. It would just happen to kind of fall that way. It's important to note here, the current CBA does run through 2031. So I don't believe anything could change before then. Like you mentioned, they signed the new CBA and were able to, get to the 17th game here a couple seasons ago. But within the next 8 to 10 years, I'd say pretty confidently the NFL is going to find a way to make an 18th game happen.
I agree. It's going to come at some point. And I think the idea of the second bye week is enticing to a lot of players. You see them complain about how the bye week would fall. It's not the fact there's only one bye week. It's more so about when it falls. You got bye weeks in like week 5, and then you have to play like 12 straight games after that. That's a lot on the body. So I think splitting it up with 2 bye weeks and an 18-game schedule makes a lot of sense for a lot of players.
And it won't be the same for everyone because different bye weeks come at different times. But you're somewhere splitting it between playing 3 6-game stints or something close to that. Some teams it may be 5, some teams it may be 7, some teams it may be 8, some teams it may be 4. But like if you can split the season up into thirds and have that second bye week in addition to, because everybody plays a Thursday night game, you essentially get 10 days off for your next game for that. Like I think that's more in line with where safety standards need to be for a season that long. Again, I think they should have gone to a second bye week for the 17th game, but that didn't happen. But definitely if you go to 18, you got to have another bye week.
If you don't have it in there, I'd be genuinely shocked. That's the first thing that should be. If you're mentioning 18 games, second bye week's got to be the next thing up. Yeah. There's no way you can't.
If you don't have that, the players don't have to agree to it.
Which is very true. Like, again, I think the players, if you're going to move a game, if you're going to move to another game, you got to have that extra bye week in there. I don't know why the NFL wouldn't, because it's like...
Again, it's another week of football.
It's another week of football, and that's all you need.
And that does kind of raise the debate saying, okay, well, if you're expanding the season, then with the 18th game, that moves the season 1 week forward. But then that second bye week, does that now mean that NFL has to start earlier too? Because if you're going to move the Super Bowl to President's Day weekend, that's bumping it up 1 week. You still got to find somewhere. I know the calendar falls kind of funny in certain years like this, like in college football where teams got 2 bye weeks, but there are going to be a lot of years where are you starting the NFL season on Labor Day weekend now and kind of taking that away from college football? If you want to get those games in, unless you don't want to take a week off for the Super Bowl anymore, if you want to try and land the Super Bowl on President's Day weekend, you're going to have to move the start of the season up probably.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought that I don't know, because college football, I mean, I don't know how the discussions go behind the scenes with college football in the NFL, especially when it comes to college football not scheduling games on like Saturdays and Sundays in the playoff format now, where you got NFL playoff games those days. So I don't know what it goes on there, and if college football is just like annoyed about it or whatever. But I feel like college football would have an issue with the NFL taking over Labor Day weekend, which is like their big, their kind of Super Bowl thing.
It is, because we get, and look, Carolina's gonna be playing on Sunday this year against Virginia Tech. Like that wouldn't happen on an NFL weekend, but you have that weekend wide open, and it's been that way for a long time, where we have college football basically from that Thursday all the way through Monday night on Labor Day to kind of kick off the season. The NFL obviously gets rolling later on that week, and they have their week 1, coming up the next Sunday. But as much as college football would hate that, if the NFL wants to do it, they're going to do it, and they're not going to be deterred by college football already being there.
But you know what? Also, this could lead to, and this is a whole nother discussion point, has nothing to truly do with the NFL schedule and stuff, but we've talked so much before about how the transfer portal window is at such a weird time where it's like it kind of crashes into the fact of like where colleges are like starting and stuff. So that's a whole issue right there. But I think you move the college football season back a few weeks maybe to avoid it. It's just not necessarily ideal for college football if they'd have to do that.
Or here's an idea. With the expanded playoff, the potential to go to 16, 14, whatever it may be, we kind of cram so much in the month of December now. What if you move the college football season up a week? And then if you're still having to play conference championship games, what if that was the week after Thanksgiving? What if instead of rivalry week, we went at conference championships, then the next week to start off December, you started the playoff then? And then we can kind of condense this down instead of this long, drawn-out month of college football where the games are basically like 10 days apart each time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it should not be 10 days apart. I mean, it's got to be a week. Like, that's what it needs to be. I know there's travel and stuff, but, like, I mean, how much of a difference is 7 days versus 10 days? Like, it's just like the regular season.
Yeah, or I don't know, because again, Army Navy's got to stay where it's sometime after the end of the regular season, in my opinion. But what if the Saturday after Thanksgiving became Army Navy Day, and then you still had your conference championships the next week, and then you went into the playoffs, and then first 2 rounds back-to-back weekends, and then you can do semifinals and bowl games, and boom, national championship January 7th or something like that, like we used to.
That would be much more, I think, reasonable, and then that way you kind of avoid, to some extent, the collision with the NFL playoffs in the thick of things.
Yeah. Again, this is easier said than done. We're just throwing hypotheticals out there. But if the NFL starts to shift around when it starts its season and when it ends its season, college football is going to feel that effect. They're going to have to maneuver some kind of way around that to some degree.
It does stink that they're going to have to be thrown into this and they're going to have to move around. But then again, anytime the NFL makes a move, it somehow indirectly affects college football.
Jack, you're how old?
I am 24.
I'm 28. We've grown up on video games, PlayStation, Xbox, all those kind of things. We got some very exciting news yesterday that resonates locally here about a video game that's going to be coming out in right about a month. And excited to share that coming up next. It is The Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry along with you on your Wednesday here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia.
100.5 The Game in Florence. And 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
The Game Network.
Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
This is Boomer Esiason with the Sports Minute, sponsored by Fisher Investments. Those of us who were in the epicenter of the infamous Super Bowl 47 blackout back in 2013 will never forget a 34-minute outage that seemed like an eternity while we were on the air. Entergy claims it has since built in resiliency and redundancy and will have additional resources stationed throughout the city. Thank God for that. I'm Boomer Esiason.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food, no matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings. Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com.
Alan Kennington, responsible for this ad. Office in 1440 Broad River Road, Columbia, South Carolina.
You're hurt. With over 85,000 cases resolved, 12 offices across the state, and over $1 billion recovered in just the past 10 years, you need South Carolina's largest injury law firm on your side. You need George Sink now. George Sink knows South Carolina, and George Sink lawyers will help you every step of the way on your recovery.
Get George Sink Law Firm on the line. Call 999-9999.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
The Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltry from Gamecock Central on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
welcome back in. Here's the Extra Point. Tyler and Jack Beltry along with you here on your Wednesday morning. This past year, back in the summer, we got the glorious return of college football video games with CFP 25. First game being released in over a decade, and recontinued the much-beloved series of college football video games, with 26 coming out a little bit later on this summer. And yesterday, Jack, I got some news that excited me a lot. I have not bought a MLB The Show game in a very long time, but a month from now, I will be buying MLB The Show 2025 because college baseball kind of makes its return to consoles.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Madden included college teams in one of their modes back in, I think, 2021 it was. And that was
in the Superstar mode.
Yeah, the Superstar mode. That was awesome. It was 10 teams and stuff. And it was just great. It was fantastic. And I think this is going to end up being like the same sort of thing where I don't know how it's going to, because it's in Road to the Show, yep. Which is like it's different now to where you start out playing high school, then you go to college.
That's really cool too.
Yeah, which is awesome. They're calling it the amateur years, and then you go to minors and then the pros, just like how it would be in the normal versions of the game in years past. But yeah, this is a big difference from the other MLB The Show video games, which it's refreshing to say the least, because most of the time it's just not a lot of upgrades and it's the same thing year after year with just better graphics. So this is a really big change, and kudos to San Diego Studios and MLB The Show for mixing it up.
And based on this trailer yesterday, we didn't get an official list, but based on the clues within the trailer, it appears that LSU, Tennessee, UCLA, TCU, Cal State Fullerton, Texas, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina will all be the featured 8 teams in this game. I'm assuming, and they did show that Charles Schwab Field in Omaha, where these games are being played, I'm assuming when you go to college, you're just playing in the College World Series. You pick whatever team you want to go to and go through the bracket like you normally would out there.
Yeah, I read something on it yesterday. It seems like it's not like, I don't think it's officially confirmed by like, San Diego Studios or PlayStation, whoever. But I think it's supposed to be like 3 to 4 games you play at the college level, and then you go on to the pros after that. So I think it's not like going to be a full season. I don't think we're going to be seeing college ballparks in the game, number one, because even like the Omaha-based field here, they're not. It's not going to be directly Charles Schwab Field, because that's a whole another thing where you got to get the rights for it and stuff. So I don't think we're going to be seeing college stadiums, but I think you're right. I think it's going to be based at the College World Series, and then you go off from there.
And look, I used to play the MVP NCAA baseball games back in the day, which they were so much fun. And this game is going to feature the metal bats too. Which,
it's going to be awesome, man.
The clink of chain link, which it's little details that really matter, because I love the presentation of the original college baseball video games, and I don't think there's enough of a market to bring something like that back. Because remember, back in the mid-2000s, PlayStation made video games about everything, right? Like, it was justifiable to have a college baseball video game that I don't know how well it sold. I don't think that's going to come back. But I've always envisioned something like this being a way to get something like that back. And maybe it's not going to feature 100-some-odd teams like it did in previous versions, but if you could get a MLB The Show in the next coming years that features college teams, especially in today's NIL, maybe you just go through all the Power 4 conferences, which would be 70-some-odd teams, and you can pay the athletes directly, have them featured in the game, much like you have minor league baseball now, and you have this quasi corner of MLB The Show where you can play college baseball, you can go through a season, you can go to Omaha, you can go do all these things. I think that'd be pretty neat, which I think that's the closest we'll get to getting a full college baseball game returning.
I think, though, the way it could be done, and again, different studios make these versions of games, but like with 2K, for instance, like with NBA 2K, they brought in the WNBA aspect of the game, so where you could play with the women's teams and stuff. I think we could see something similar here, to where you incorporate college teams, you get the likenesses of the college players with NIL now and stuff, and kind of do it like you did with college football. And I think it'd be interesting, instead of having to download rosters and stuff to create draft classes for the years to come, you have college players already in the game that you just transport over into the pros of Major League Baseball and stuff. So I don't know. It's complicated, but I think it's something that is definitely an interesting prospect. And yeah, I'm glad to see South Carolina is in it. They got the logo wrong, but then again, I mean, I guess it's fine. But overall,
they just use the general Gamecock inside the C.
It seems like that happens often, but I'm excited for this, man. I definitely will be picking this up. I love playing MLB The Show, so big win for MLB.
I hope you can just play in general, just exhibition mode with these teams as well. I hope it's not exclusively because like in Madden. In Superstar mode, you couldn't just say, hey, I want to play, LSU versus Texas in the college football playoff with my buddy. Like, you had to do it within the context of Superstar mode.
Yeah, and the thing is, I remember with Madden, there'd be, like, people that would make, like, a version of like a mod to where you can play with the college teams and stuff in like exhibition mode. So I think it's going to be the same thing here where it's only in Road to the Show. But I think eventually at some point, someone smarter than us out there is going to probably make it to where you can get around it and play exhibition games with these college teams and stuff. Yeah. I mean, you can already create your own stadiums and stuff. So
yeah, if you are willing to put in the work, I'm sure you can make just about anything possible in this game. And again, I get it. College baseball is a more niche audience, so you're not going to get a full game release, I don't think. But I'm excited to see it head in this direction. And again, I'm going to buy my first MLB The Show game in a very long time.
Yeah,
coming up in about a month.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it, man. March 18th cannot get here any sooner.
That's right. And then we'll be a month into the college baseball season, and then the MLB season will be right around the corner.
Yep, baseball's heating up. I'm liking it, man.
9 days away. Next Friday, opening day. Hopefully the weather improves a little bit.
We'll see. Hopefully they get all 3 games in. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. Plenty to talk about as we lead up until opening day coming up next Friday with Gamecock Baseball taking on Sacred Heart. That'll do it for today's edition of The Extra Point. Coming up next, hour number 2. Dimitri Ravano is going to join me coming up next as he's not a fan of the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, and he'll explain why. This is The Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Beltry here on The Game.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
10 years ago, who could have predicted what the internet would bring? Streaming videos, voice assistants, smartphones, smart homes, work from home. But here we are, wondering what the next 10 years will bring. Whatever it brings, Lumos 100% fiber optic internet is ready with incredible speeds and reliability. So you can do more and be more than you ever thought possible on the internet built for the future. See your future at lumosfiber.com/future.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick. Soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices. Just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
There's never been a better time to find a job through SC Works. SC Works staff help you network with employers, update your resume, and even submit applications at job fairs. More job fairs and more hiring events than ever before. Visit SC Works online or a center near you today. Sponsored by SC Works, where there's more. Sponsored by SC Works, a proud partner of the American Job Center Network and Equal Opportunity Employer/Program. Auxiliary aids and services available on request for individuals with disabilities. For program funding details and compliance with the Stevens Amendment, please visit do.sc.gov/funding.
Transform your property with Black Seal, Columbia's premier asphalt paving and maintenance experts. With unmatched expertise, we deliver exceptional results for residential and commercial projects of any size. Our skilled team specializes in asphalt paving, seal coating, repair, crack sealing, and removal. utilizing the latest techniques and top quality materials. Trust Black Seal to enhance your property's appearance and durability. Visit blacksealsc.com today to experience the Black Seal difference.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hostetler Brown. If you or a loved one are over 65 and haven't completed a long-term care planning consultation, now is the time. Did you know that if you aren't able to afford the high cost of skilled care, your assets can be rapidly depleted to only $2,000 unless you plan 5 years in advance? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Honey, look, the hookers. They've moved off the highway and now they're all over the parking lot.
What are all those Schroeder's towing trucks doing in that parking lot, though?
Must be towing all those unauthorized cars parked in the lot. Good thing the business owner called Schroeder's Towing to keep their parking lot clear for just their customers. Didn't those cars see the free signage that Schroeder's provides to business owners to deter unauthorized parking?
I guess not.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Home for the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
The extra point, the extra point, the extra point, the extra point.
With Tyler Head and Gamecock Central.
On the Game Network.
Ten o'clock, welcome back in. Hour number 2, it is the Extra Point. Tyler Head along with you here on your Wednesday on the Game. Just 4 days away from the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday between the Eagles and the Chiefs, as the Chiefs look for their third straight Super Bowl. Eagles looking to win their first since the 2017 season with Nick Foles and that Doug Peterson crew. Always excited every Wednesday. Talk to our guy, Dimitri Ravanos, who probably is not the most excited about the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, as you were telling me yesterday. Maybe feel a little bit of fatigue for one of the teams involved?
Well, I don't think it's just Eagles fatigue, Chiefs fatigue, although I think that is the big motivating factor, Tyler. Like, it's also, we literally just saw this 2 years ago, right?
2 years ago.
Down in Phoenix. And, I was talking with my buddy Joe Giglio here earlier. It's not just a matter of, we just saw this, we have Chiefs fatigue. Doesn't it feel like the Eagles are here a lot? Like, it just feels like we are setting up for something we have seen before, which is the Eagles losing in the Super Bowl. It just doesn't feel like there is anything happening on Sunday that we have not already seen.
Yeah, and look, I was in the camp. I was rooting for a Buffalo-Washington Super Bowl because I think it would have been fun to not only see those two respective teams that have not had good representation in the Super Bowl in the past, basically 3 decades, and the stories of, obviously Washington and their rise in year one with Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn, as well as Josh Allen and Buffalo potentially getting back to their first Super Bowl since the early 90s, obviously. But I'm intrigued by the aspect of two really good defensive teams in Philadelphia and Kansas City squaring off against each other. I'm a big defensive guy, and I don't mind low-scoring games, so I think it could be fun in that respect. But I can understand why people look at this and go, maybe the Super Bowl is not going to be for me.
I am all for a defensive low-scoring game if it involves defenses making plays. If it is waiting out your opponent's mistakes, I'm not, that doesn't excite me all that much. I will say, like, if it is that low-scoring kind of game, I think that's the only way we see an upset, right? Like, you can picture how Philadelphia wins this. It is Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley keep the ball on the ground and basically play 60 minutes of keep away against the Chiefs.
Right. Yeah, and that kind of seems like the MO that Jalen Hurts isn't going to do anything that's going to be wow spectacular through the air. We say, man, he threw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, and that's why they won the game. Like, no, if Saquon Barkley has a good game and Jalen Hurts manages to not turn the ball over, then they should have a good shot at winning this team, but he's not necessarily a superstar quarterback compared to somebody like Patrick Mahomes on the other side, who now is going to go for his 4th ring and obviously 3rd in the row. And, you know, going back to the mark about fatigue. Look, this is rarefied air to see a team even have an opportunity to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. And with something that rare, it is a debate of, okay, is this in the best interest of the NFL as far as an interest and something they can sell, that they have just this team that's in the middle of this dominant run like the Patriots were back in the early 2000s, like you can talk about the 49ers back in the day and all that kind of stuff, or is the NFL more open to wanting to see parity when it comes to their Super Bowl champions?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I think that what is hurting the NFL with this is that Mahomes already has a legitimate argument for, is he the greatest quarterback of all time? Brady has accomplished more, but Brady physically, talent-wise, is not as good as Mahomes. Like, it's not even close, right? Yeah. Tom Brady is not making those parallel to the ground highlight throws like Patrick Mahomes does. I think what is working against the NFL here is, as a dude, Patrick Mahomes is kind of boring, right? Andy Reid is kind of boring. Travis Kelce, either you get it or you don't. Like, I don't think there is a ton of personality to these Chiefs teams. I think the other thing here is dynasties historically are good for sports. People tune in for dynasties, but what has the Chiefs dynasty been? It has been a bunch of repeats. We have seen the Chiefs and Eagles already. We have seen the Chiefs and the 49ers twice. Even the one game that the Chiefs lost, which was a different opponent in the Buccaneers, well, we've seen Mahomes and Tom Brady already. There does not feel like there has ever been the novelty necessary to spark the kind of interest that a lot of these dynasties enjoy and thrive on with these Chiefs.
Well, and I think the Chiefs are a harder team to hate. Now, everybody obviously points the fingers at, okay, you know, they believe that the NFL is favoring them with the officiating calls and all that kind of stuff. I'm not even going to go down the road of that debate, but at least like when you look back at the Patriots, right, when they were in the middle of their dominance, that, you know, they had a gap of basically 10 years between winning Super Bowls, but they were always in the mix for the AFC Championship and all those kind of things. And, you know, you had a guy in Bill Belichick that just had this off-putting personality. There was literal evidence of them cheating with Deflategate and Spygate and all these kind of things. Tom Brady's this kind of weird guy with his, life off the field and his dieting and all that kind of stuff that can be off-putting to a lot of people. Like you said, Andy Reid's a lovable guy. Patrick Mahomes, you know, outside of his family being a little bit kooky, seems like a pretty normal dude that I don't think necessarily rubs people the wrong way. So I think there's an air of not being able to hate the Chiefs as easily as some of these other dominant teams that maybe in a weird way makes them off-putting as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think that it's interesting. I know plenty of people that hate the Chiefs, and it is all for invented reasons, right? Maybe you don't like the Taylor Swift thing, so you've decided you hate Travis Kelce and the Chiefs. Maybe you don't like Patrick Mahomes' politics, so you've decided you don't like the Chiefs. Maybe it's overexposure, whatever it is. Like, Tom Brady was actively, and Bill Belichick too, were actively hateable. And I don't think that is so definitive with the Chiefs. So people invent these reasons and it becomes very personal, and maybe something like, I think the Taylor Swift thing is one that a lot of people have latched onto, but it doesn't really seem real. And in fact, it's not really about the Chiefs. So it gets kind of muddied as to, is it something that becomes a narrative everybody can rally around? The other part of this is, I think the NFL has embraced the Chiefs in a way they never really did with the Patriots. Like with the Patriots, I think the NFL saw the money in the villains. I think early on, the NFL saw the money in everybody rooting for Patrick Mahomes, and now it has robbed this dynasty of an identity that other fan bases can rally against.
Well, and I think there's an element of this, too, because, again, when the Patriots were at the height of their dominance in the early 2000s, the internet had not become what it was today. And the social media aspect of this, I think, has a lot to do with how much the NFL does embrace the Chiefs side of things. I brought this up yesterday. You know, when Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce became a thing, the NFL, on their official Twitter account, said the NFL Taylor's version. They really leaned into this because why wouldn't you? The biggest pop star in the entire world is dating one of your most popular players. So, you have this air of clicks and engagement and views and all this kind of stuff that anything Chiefs related, good, bad, or in the middle, is going to get a lot of engagement from people that either really love them or really hate them. So I understand the NFL leading into that because it prints money either way, and there's never been a team as positioned as the Chiefs before to be able to capitalize off that with.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that as we sit here Wednesday of Super Bowl week waiting for the game to kick off, I think the halftime show is 1,000 times more interesting than the game itself. And I don't know that the NFL necessarily sees that as a negative, but the NFL also hasn't really leaned into it, which is surprising. Coming off of all of Not Like Us's Grammy wins, I would think they would be leaning hard into advertising, hey, is he going to play this? This might be the most dangerous, and I'm saying like the NFL should be marketing it this way. This is the most dangerous Super Bowl halftime show since Janet Jackson's booth. But you don't see that kind of rhetoric at all, and it's surprising. It feels like a missed opportunity to create some sort of vibe around a vibeless game.
But by the way, Bill and Preston debated this on the morning show. Preston's a firm believer that Kendrick Lamar has the potential to be the GOAT of rappers when it's all said and done. Where do you fall in that debate?
I like Kendrick a lot. I mean, I see Preston's point. I certainly think that sales-wise he could be there. Quality-wise, I mean, I know this is very old man of me. Everybody is playing catch-up to Killer Mike right now in terms of who actually has the talent.
Okay, fair debate. Do we see a camera on Drake at any point during Kendrick's halftime performance?
Do you think Drake is going to be there?
I think Drake's going to be there. I mean, every celebrity in the world goes to the Super Bowl, right?
Interesting.
And I imagine he's probably going to be wearing some kind of Chiefs, jacket or something along those lines because he tends to ride with the most popular team and most successful team.
Yeah, it kind of feels like this is what makes Drake so hateable, right? It kind of feels like he's going to figure out a way to have a half-and-half jacket with both teams represented on it.
Ooh, you know what? That might be a good prop bet. Is he going to wear something for both teams at some point during the game?
I mean, here is the prop that everybody, and I don't know what the right answer to this is because I could see it happen and I could see it not happen. The prop for the Super Bowl, everybody that I know is locked in on is, do we get a Kendrick Taylor duet since they did do that version of Bad Blood together?
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. Man, you want to talk about setting the world on fire.
Right. Here's the thing. I have a daughter that loves Taylor Swift. I happen to really like Kendrick Lamar. I've read a lot about their relationship, and she seems to really respect him. I could see her not wanting to step on his moment. At the same time, Taylor Swift has never seen a moment she could not hijack.
But isn't she anti-Super Bowl halftime show? She said she would never do it, right?
Well, yeah, because you don't get a straight check from the NFL for it. That's why. She knows her value, and I don't blame her.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you're already in the stands watching the game, then hey, pop on down for 2 minutes to do this duet or whatever. I guess that could happen.
Right. Even if she just comes out to sing the chorus and that is all we get of her, it is still something that sets the world on fire.
You know what? We could get her a wireless mic and she can just stay in the suite and sing it. How about that?
Stay in the box. Actually, we could get her a wireless mic and it cuts to her in the suite and she just lets Mama Kelsey sing it instead of her doing anything at all.
Or, we're in the Superdome and they had, who did the halftime show for the national championship the other week where he was on top of Mercedes-Benz Stadium for some reason?
Was
that Travis Scott?
I can't remember who it is. But, in the past we've had, wasn't it, it was in Dallas, right? Didn't we have the film thing of Lady Gaga jumping off the top of that building to start the halftime show?
That was in Houston for the Patriots-Falcons Super Bowl. Yeah, she jumped off because it has the opening at the NRG Stadium now. She jumped off the top of that, yes.
Yeah, I mean, there are all kinds of different ways that we could have Taylor Swift still sitting in the box while somehow appearing to be part of this show.
What's your lean for this game? Which way you going? As unexcited as you might be for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think unexcited is the word. I think it's going to be the Chiefs, and I think it's going to be pretty significant.
Well, we'll see if that prediction comes true. You're going to be hanging out with me on Monday as we break down all things Super Bowl, halftime show, Kendrick Taylor, and everything in between.
I know. What a mistake on Terry's part, taking off the easiest day of the year to do sports radio.
I know. We're certainly looking forward to it, and we'll talk to you then. Appreciate it, Dimitri.
All right, buddy. Talk to you then.
Is Dimitri Ravenos. Join me each and every Wednesday. Again, going to be filling in for Terry on the halftime show coming up on Monday as we review everything that happens on Super Bowl Sunday. This past Sunday, we got cars returning to the track as the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium is officially in the books. Daytona 500 a little over a week and a half away. And Jen Jensen going to join me on the other side to once again start talking about racing each and every week as we get set for the NASCAR season. Coming up next is The Extra Point. Tyler Head along with you here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
So the body knows that it needs to heal itself, but it doesn't know how to concentrate it and target it into just one area. So that's where we come in.
By we, Dr. Ashley Caravelli means the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, QC Kinetics.
We put in those treatments, then it sends out like little signalers to your body. We're able to make the body focus on the areas that need the most healing.
QC Kinetics has gathered brilliant medical minds like Dr. Caravelli and Dr. Mitchell Shinecup, a pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine, to lead the way in these innovative pain treatments.
So at QC Kinetics, we have a whole team working nationwide with cutting-edge research to reach our patients and treat them and know that surgery is no longer their only option.
The consultation is free. Find out if you're a candidate. Call QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860.
Are you a Gamecock fan that's looking for flexibility to attend the games you want without committing to season tickets? If so, the Gamecock Go Pass is for you. For only $20 a month, your Gamecock Go Pass subscription provides you with access to all non-conference football games, most men's and women's basketball and baseball games, and all softball, soccer, and volleyball games. Plus, you have the ability to add on tickets for conference football games and premier basketball and baseball games for an additional cost. To learn more and sign up today, visit the GamecockClub.com/go.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. The best selection of new Chevys. Right now. No hassle, no ridiculous add-on stickers. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
They say perfection is a journey, and at Carolina Stone Craftsman, that journey leads us to just outside Columbia in Chapin. Our marble, our granite, our quartz, they're sculpted with the highest craftsmanship, honed with family values, and delivered with professional results. Explore the craftsmanship of each slab, see all our new showroom has to offer, and experience our custom hardscapes. Crafted to perfection, experience Carolina Stone Craftsman's workmanship. Take us for granted. Your journey to perfection starts with us. Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
I'm with Stephen Samuels of the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm. Stephen, what does True Injuries, True Lawyers really mean?
It means a lot. It means we help people with truly serious injuries, and our entire team will do whatever it takes to make it right. Even if your case is difficult, we have the resources and experience to go toe-to-toe with the big insurance companies. We've done this, and we've got you.
Samuels Reynolds. True Injuries, True Lawyers. 803-779-4000.
The Extra Point
with Tyler Head and Gamecock Central
on the Game Network.
Suarez gets out of Blaney's way, but it's too little too late. Chase Elliott into turn 3. Off of turn 4, Chase Elliott, Rick Hendrick Chevrolet win the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. Fantastic job.
Go, boys. Awesome job. Appreciate y'all.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head along with you here on your Wednesday on the Game. That was called Fox Sports on Sunday night. Chase Elliott taking the checkered flag at the end of the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Coliseum to kick off NASCAR in 2025. Joining me on the Love Chevrolet phone lines as she does each and every Wednesday now going forward. Talk some racing is Jen Jensen from the early game. Jen, I was very excited to see the Clash go to a new venue like Bowman Gray, an old school NASCAR track that's been upgraded to meet the current standards of the NASCAR Cup Series. And I'll say I had a pretty good time this weekend watching these races.
You know, I really did too. It was a lot of fun. There was some history lessons on some other shows that they were putting on and some specials, just really teaching more about the history if you weren't familiar with it. And yeah, getting it all ready for this. It was some fun racing, and I think it was a great way to start the season.
It to me, because here's the thing, for those that don't know, the Bowman Gray is known as the Madhouse. And, you know, it's about, you know, bumping and banging and fights and the crazy things that can happen in racing. That's not necessarily the pure racing that maybe some people come to expect in watching the Cup Series at times. I thought, you know, like, yeah, the heats and stuff were chaotic. The last chance qualifier was chaotic. A lot of wrecks and a lot of, you know, guys angry at each other. But I thought the 200-lap main event was the perfect balance of chaos, but also mixed with pure racing. You saw Ryan Blaney drive through the field. Chase Elliott did a really good job of saving his tires for that last run. I thought it was the perfect balance of, you know, pure racing with entertainment as well.
I totally agree. I mean, it was nice because both lanes, you know, inside lane, outside lane, both of those could race. You could, like you said, Blaney came up through the field, Bubba Wallace came up through the field. So you could actually make passes. It wasn't like, okay, once you're in one spot, you're stuck. So good racing in that respect. And yeah, you had your bumping and banging and a little bit of everything. And I think it was, again, I really think it was a great blend. And I truly hope that they do this again next year.
I absolutely do too. We don't exactly know where this event's going to be going next, and we'll get into that a little bit more in just a moment. But I got to say, and my friend and I were talking about this after the race on Sunday, was that not the happiest we've seen Chase Elliott in a very long time? Like, again, he's NASCAR's most popular driver, former champion, all that kind of stuff. It really seems like these past couple of years, he had his injury, he had the suspension. Last year, he had the one win, but not much else after that. Like, he just seems like he's been going through some stuff these past couple of years that on Sunday after the race and even leading up to the race, he just seemed to be a lot more happy than I think we've seen him in a long time.
You know, I was noticing the exact same thing. It just seemed like that was a different Chase Elliott than for sure last season that we saw. And to start off his season is strong. Like, I mean, this is perfect. He was dominant. Really, for the most part, he was pretty dominant in that race. So to see him like that, he just seems lighter. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm with you. I think it's a different Chase Elliott. And I'm really looking forward to this season because if this is any indication of where he is in his headspace and whether it's conditioning, whether it's just kind of getting some crud off of his back, yeah, I'm good with this. I'm anxious to see this season for him.
Because he had the win at Texas a year ago and ran consistently, but wasn't leading laps and didn't seem to have the race-winning pace, compared to his team like Larson or even Byron throughout a lot of the year as well. So we'll see what happens this year, but, getting off to a strong start at a place that I think is very indicative of a lot of tracks around the schedule. Like, I don't think you could put a ton into what happened with the Clash of the Coliseum because that track was so unique and so different, but I look at the success you can have at Bowman Gray and see that translate over to Martinsville, to New Hampshire, to Richmond, some of these flatter types of tracks that you're going to be going to multiple times this year.
Yep, I think it was just a wonderful preview. And again, I love the storied history of it, but I love that they were able to dial it in and put on a really good show. So I'm with you. I think this will translate well to some of those other races.
And that's what makes this so unique because, look, the Clash originated at Daytona as a celebration of pole winners. It was a made-for-TV event. It used to be a 20-lap, 15-minute race back in the day that evolved and changed with different formats. And then, it got to the point at Daytona where they were just wrecking a ton of cars. Teams didn't want to spend all the money on it, and it seemed like the race had kind of lost its luster. So they went to the road course of Daytona, and that was okay. Went to the Clash for a couple years at the Coliseum. That was fine. I really think what they hit on Sunday was perfect because it was a celebration of grassroots racing. It was taking NASCAR to a track that's not been to in a very, very long time with diehard, hardcore fans that were into the race the entire time. There's nothing wrong with going out and finding new fans, going to markets that have been untapped like they did in L.A. a couple of years ago. But, man, I really, it's hard to look at what we saw on Sunday and say, man, this shouldn't be the model for what we try and do going forward.
No, 100%. I think you are totally spot on. It was a great experience, a great experiment, and I think they would be foolish if they thought about trying to change anything, at least for the next couple of years.
They've floated out the idea of going international with it. I heard Brazil is a very strong candidate, and this is kind of the only race I guess you could do that with because it exists outside the season. You have 2 weeks until the Daytona 500, so you couldn't just up and say, hey, let's go to Japan in the middle of May or something like that because it doesn't work with the rest of the schedule.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the only event you can do that with, but I hope even if it does go different places, we can still rotate in a place like Bowman Gray, if not every single year, every couple of years, because, again, I think it checked all the boxes of what you want for an event like that.
Yeah, totally. And again, like you said, being at the beginning of the season, you can dabble a little bit in that. I'm a little bit concerned, like later in the year when we have the Mexico race, they don't have a lot of time to get back. That one I'm a little bit concerned about, but I'm not the logistics team, so
Sure.
That's for all the other teams to worry about. But I think it's fun, and I like that they're trying different things at the beginning of the season.
Listen, there are people in the industry that are probably making a lot of money just on figuring out the logistics for that Mexico race specifically, right?
Absolutely. So I'll let them get paid to do all that, and I'll just sit back and enjoy.
Next week, we'll really dive into previewing the Daytona 500 as no action happening this weekend. With it being the Super Bowl, something interesting that came out yesterday. Well, we said last week that NASCAR was not going to make any changes to the playoff format, which, that's kind of expected considering the fact that there are some expected overhauls going into 2026. But yesterday they did institute something that's a little bit of a throwback, but also something new in introducing a fast lap bonus point in every single race across all three top series. Now, it used to be, before the implementation of stage racing, if you led the most laps or if you led a lap, you got bonus points for that. This kind of returns to that. And I think it's interesting because I saw some people do some breakdowns that, if this had been in place last year, like Larson would have won the regular season points based on fast laps. Christopher Bell would have advanced to the Final Four based on fast laps. It's another opportunity to earn points where, if you're running 20th, you bolt on a set of tires late in the race, not only can you gain some spots, but maybe if you run a fast lap, you can get yourself a much more valuable additional point as well, which I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays in to especially the elimination rounds of the chase. Or playoffs.
Yeah, and because when you go to places like a super speedway, okay, that's when some of the people who maybe aren't faring as well throughout the season, like Zane Smith, he did not have a good season last season, and I think new equipment, a new team should help him this year. But that would have been kind of frustrating for everybody else to all of a sudden, oh my gosh, look at Zane Smith. He had the fastest lap at Talladega, so he got a bonus point that really would have benefited somebody else a whole bunch more. So a few things to think about on that. I know, like with F1, if you're a non-points earning driver, you wouldn't get a point when they did that. They were actually doing away with that system now this year. But So it's kind of curious, and I don't know if that's something that they'll see how it goes this year and tweak it eventually. I like the idea, but I just want to make sure that it actually benefits who it's really intended to benefit.
I can't look at this rule and not think about there's going to be some kind of way a team's going to figure out how to manipulate this. At some point in the playoffs, it's going to cause controversy because it seems like every rule change we make ends up that way somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and harkening back to Penske last season with IndyCar, where they found a way to get around they have a push to pass system, and they found a way to manipulate that. So you got to watch every team, because if you ain't cheating, you ain't racing.
Well, with Penske, it helps when your boss owns the entire series.
Correct. That does make a smidgen of a difference for sure. But I'm with you. I think it's something they have to monitor and really check a lot of boxes to make sure that everybody's being honest, because it'll be interesting to see who has the fastest lap. I mean, Kyle Larson had the fastest lap in like 5 of the races last season. So let's see. Yeah. Does that continue, or do people come out of the woodwork and have fastest lap?
Yeah, could be a big factor, especially as we go through the playoffs coming up a little bit later on this year. I'm excited that we finally saw some racing this past weekend, and can't wait to talk about the Daytona 500 this time next week.
I'm so ready. Good to talk to you, Tyler.
Absolutely. Appreciate it as always, Jen. It is the Extra Point here on your Wednesday. Our guy Jalen Tart will jump in next. We'll dive into the coaches of the Super Bowl, take a little look at Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni and where they sit currently going into Sunday's game. That's coming up next. It is the Extra Point on your Wednesday here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network, powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass, shepherdsglass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Glass.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play stopped, opt out.
Your garage door could be a ticking time bomb. Seriously, did you know 20 to 30,000 garage door accidents happen every year in the U.S.? How does that even happen? Well, your garage door has 20 or more working parts and opens and closes 1,500 times a year. That's a lot of wear and tear. Don't wait until something breaks and you get stuck. Text TECH to 323232 right now for your ProCheck multi-point inspection only from OGD Overhead Garage Door. With thousands of 5-star Google reviews, OGD is the garage door expert in Columbia. OGD is available 24/7 to help you with same-day service. So if your garage door is broken, stuck, slow, or squeaky, text OGD, the only name you need for your garage door. Text TECH to 323232 right now and get an exclusive link to special limited time savings. Text the word TECH to 323232 now. Text TECH to 323232.
If you have tax problems and want to end the frustration of dealing with the IRS, grab a pen and take down this number. Hi, I'm local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm, located right here in the Midlands. Let us show you what it takes to solve your tax problems once and for all. The first step, which can be one of the hardest, is to take action. Do something. Call me, set an appointment, and meet with me in person. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll show you how to take control of the problem. So if you haven't filed your tax returns for years or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call me, John Ecton, at 803-771-9800. That's 803-771-9800. Or go to EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Learn what it takes to solve your tax problems for good. Take that first step to a better future. Call me, John Ecton.
Honey, would you take a seat? I have a confession to make.
What is it? What's wrong?
Well, I was out driving today and I saw some hookers on the side of the road. A bunch of huge, professional, beautiful-looking hookers. So I did what I was supposed to do. I slowed down and I moved over.
You slowed down for the hookers?
Well, yeah, it's the law. There was a whole fleet of Schroeder's towing trucks assisting with an accident. Wait, what did you think I was talking about?
Schroeder's Towing reminds you to slow down and move over for all first responders.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
This year, Roy and Dana Finley are shaking things up at AAA Heating and Air. For the next 12 months, they're telling their customers no. Get a new system purchase with no payments and no interest for an entire year. You heard that right. Purchase a new system now and make no payments for a full 12 months. So do what I did. Call AAA Heating and Air for your free estimate and tell them Jay Phillips sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet. Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
Kickstart your day at 9 a.m. with your Carolina Pick-Me-Up. Sponsored by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you're injured, call 09s today.
Get George Sink Law Firm on the line. Call 999-999.
Are you ready for football? Let's go. Truly ready for football? Yes. Are you screaming for football?
What the hell is happening?
Dreaming for football.
Good times.
Eating, sleeping, crafting, parenting, naming your pets, and preparing for football.
That sort of stuff happening? Oh, my goodness.
Are you dancing, jonesing, Mahomesing for football?
That's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Good. Then you are ready for football. With the Rich Eisen Show podcast.
They're ready.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
What you're talking about.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet
on the Game Network.
And welcome back in. It is The Extra Point. It's our head along with you. Jalen Tartt hanging out with me as he does each and every Wednesday. You ready for the Super Bowl?
Yes.
4 days away.
Yes. I am very interested to see what will happen. I know that the Chiefs are chasing history, but the Eagles are chasing for revenge and redemption for Jalen Hurts. I do not have a Super Bowl. I might make a pick after the end by 11 o'clock. Excuse me, I cannot talk today, but by 11 o'clock I should make a pick.
So, by the way, who is your favorite NFL team? Do you have one?
The Colts.
The Colts. Okay. So, yeah, really, no.
We're in a weird spot.
Yeah, no. There's no tie to either one of these teams.
No.
Based on being a Colts fan.
No.
Do you have a favorite player?
All time for me is Reggie Wayne.
Okay. Great Colt.
Yes. But if I have to say overall, Michael Vick.
Okay. Nobody currently playing. Okay. So, all right. So you look at this game neutrally then.
I could say currently right now, I like Saquon. I do like Saquon.
Okay. All right. So do you lean towards the Eagles because of that?
Yes, but at the same time, this is something that we may never see again. So I will have.
True.
Yeah, we may never see what the Chiefs are doing right now. We may never see that again.
Yeah, it's certainly rarefied air, and one of the big reasons for that is of course Andy Reid at the helm coaching the Chiefs, and in talking to the Super Bowl media the other day, he confirmed this isn't his last rodeo this weekend.
Yeah, that's not part of it. That I enjoy teaching, so I don't get caught up too much on all the stats and all the records and all that stuff. But I enjoy being around the guys. I enjoy football, the game. You can't put in the hours that we do and not enjoy it. I really love the game. Yes, I'll be back. I'm glad he's going to have me back. I mean,
it's really hard to hate Andy Reid, right? Like I get it. A lot of people are anti-Chiefs because they think they get favorable calls and all this kind of stuff. But he's just a lovable guy, man. It's hard to look at Andy Reid and say, man, I can't stand that dude.
I mean, everybody was rooting for him during his stint with Philadelphia back in the early 2000s when he had Donovan McNabb, and he just could never get over the hump of getting to the Super Bowl. And
They got to one.
Well, they got to one, and they didn't win. But I will say, now that he is with a franchise where you have a franchise quarterback who is arguably the greatest of all time, and Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, even though I'm not really a Patrick Mahomes fan, I'm just going to recognize, greatness of what I'm seeing. I mean, I mean, if he wins 3 in a row, why would you retire at 66 years old? You're not Bill Belichick coaching in your 70s or, trying to, coach until like you're, Jerry Jones, knowing that Andy Reid is not an owner. But if he's enjoying what he loves to do, let the man stay.
Yeah.
Let the man say win, lose, or draw.
It is an interesting debate because, again, if he retired right now, he's first ballot Hall of Famer with 3 Super Bowl wins, potentially 4th coming up on Sunday. And if he wins on Sunday, he's only 2 games behind Bill Belichick in terms of wins. Now, Bill Belichick went to 9 Super Bowls. Andy Reid is only going to be going to his 6th coming up this weekend. And he may not admit this, but do you think there's a part of him that's like, man, I think with what I have at quarterback, with talent I have on this team, I could at least tie Belichick within the next handful of years?
Yes, I think it's possible. I mean, who's to say if the Chiefs win, they could go for 4?
They could. I mean, that'd be the next thing. And again, here's the thing. I want to introduce this to the debate because I think this would be the most impressive win of the 4 if they win on Sunday for Coach Reid because of what this team is. They have Patrick Mahomes, yes. They have a really good defense. They don't really have a lot on offense. Like Travis Kelce's up there in age. They haven't had a great running game. Don't have any elite wide receivers. If they won the Super Bowl with this team, you could easily say it's the worst version of the Chiefs we've seen over these past 5 years, and they would still say they'd won the Super Bowl.
Yes, because on the offensive side of the ball, there's really no Pro Bowl offers from the offensive side of the ball. Now, the defense, to me, is the heartbeat of this team this season. You lose Tyreek Hill, which is a big factor. Didn't know what your identity was going to be. We didn't know how much left in the tank Travis Kelce had. But then here comes Xavier Worthy and Kareem Hunt carrying the load for you offensively out of the wide receiver and running back position. We didn't expect this to happen. Coming into the season, we thought, how much left does the Chiefs have? Can they three-peat with all the teams that were really, really good? And they shocked everyone. They shocked a lot of people getting back here. A lot of people had Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson going, and both of them are at home.
Yeah,
so it was a good sight to see.
Well, going back to the playoffs, and of course the Bills beat the Ravens to get to this point. I think everybody looked at that AFC Championship game, and we even talked about this leading into it. If there was ever going to be a year where the Bills and Josh Allen finally got over the playoff hump of Kansas City, it was going to be this year because of what this version of Kansas City is. And again, there was controversial calls, which, is going to skew it in a lot of people's eyes, but they still weren't able to get past them. And once again, the Chiefs continue to win these low-scoring, one-score type of games. And I'm not going to be shocked if Sunday the final score is 20-17 or something right in line with the way they've been winning all these games this year.
I wouldn't be shocked either. I just think Mahomes has been in this situation way too many times. This will be his 5th time starting in the Super Bowl. And every time he started, other than, with him getting bounced twice by Tom Brady, he has not lost. So it will be something very interesting to see history, a team that's chasing history versus a team that is chasing redemption, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, and as much as people are sick of the Chiefs for whatever reason, maybe it's Taylor Swift, maybe it's because of Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, or whatever your reasoning is, I've said this before, that if they accomplish this on Sunday, if they win 3 straight, and again, people are going to come in on Monday saying they're sick of it, I hate to see it, I'm over it and all that kind of stuff, years down the line, because of how rare this is. It's never happened in the Super Bowl era. I know the Packers won like 3 straight back in the 30s or whatever, but we're talking about in the Super Bowl era. I think we will all appreciate having seen it. Again, whether you're a fan or not, you could say, man, I remember when the Chiefs won 3 straight Super Bowls and how important that was to the history of the game. And I think it's something that for most people you won't be able to truly appreciate until years down the line.
Now, I can ask you this, knowing that I personally think Andy Reid will be a Hall of Famer regardless if he wins this one or not.
Yeah.
They don't get it. But do you think that Patrick Mahomes is in the conversation as the greatest of all time with Tom Brady?
You missed the conversation earlier. I don't get into this debate. I don't do GOAT debates.
Really? Okay.
When it comes to sports, I will not do a GOAT debate.
Okay.
Because I am a firm believer that everybody should be able to stand on their own. And if Patrick Mahomes wins 12 Super Bowls, that's great. If Patrick Mahomes only wins 3 or 4 Super Bowls, that's great too. He, in and of itself, is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Okay.
But I don't like to get into like the LeBron Jordan debate. I'm never going to do it.
You're not going to do it?
I will never debate LeBron versus Jordan.
That's a
because
never-ending debate that you don't want to.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you're going to go in circles because say, okay, well, Jordan didn't lose in the finals, and LeBron went to 3 different teams, but LeBron, from a skill standpoint, may be better. Like, it's just going to go in circles and circles, and I feel like it's the same thing for Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes because, yes, Tom Brady has more rings. Patrick Mahomes is more of an athletically gifted kind of guy, and again, it just goes round and round and round and round. There's never any true answer to it.
I can just say out of this era, he is the greatest from this era currently, right now. I can safely say that.
And if you like, that's fine. I'm not going to disagree with you for saying that. I'm just like, I'm never going to personally go down the rabbit hole of making that debate myself. I hate that because this goes back to a couple years ago when they won their first Super Bowl and seeing what the potential of Patrick Mahomes was. Everybody says, well, he's got X amount till he gets to Brady. He's chasing Brady. I want to let guys stand on their own. I want guys to have their own individual careers. At the end of it, you say, hey, look at that. Mahomes won as many Super Bowls or came up too short of Tom Brady. Still, he had his own great, legendary, first ballot Hall of Fame type of career. I hate, because in a way, to me, it almost discredits the second guy in a way. If you say, well, he's great, but he's not as good as this guy. Like, no, I think everybody should be able to individually stand on their own at the end of the day, which Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to do, whether he passes Tom Brady or not.
Yeah, I kind of like that approach. But if we're trying to go, I mean, at the end of the day, this sport is all about competition. It's all about winning. It's either if you can rise to the occasion to win, and it's going to be someone that's not going to fall, that's going to rise to the occasion and lose. Now, it could be a potential scenario where both Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes play exceptionally well. And it just comes down to straight up execution to where, like, okay, cool. I personally think Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback. He just needs a balanced offense in order for him to succeed. Yeah. That's just me personally. But in terms of, greatness, I mean, in terms of, the game itself, I really don't care who wins. Because at the end of the day, the narrative is still going to be written. Patrick Mahomes is still one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. But now, if Jalen Hurts wins, they're going to put him, is he a top 5 quarterback to beat Mahomes? He's the only one to beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That's really going to be the story.
And that's what Stephen A. and Skip Bayless and all those will debate for the entire summer leading up to the 2025 NFL season, if that does end up happening. We'll take a look at the Eagles coming up next. Let's hear from Nick Sirianni and what he had to say. Speaking to the media the other day, it is the Extra Point. It's our head and Jalen Tart along with you on your Wednesday here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
This is Poin with the Sports Minute, sponsored by TaxSlayer. Get your max refund at TaxSlayer.com and file fearlessly. Following in the footsteps of Reba McEntire, Gladys Knight, Lady Gaga, Billy Joel, Beyonce, and other top artists of varied musical genres, jazz vocalist and New Orleans native John Baptiste will sing the national anthem prior to Super Bowl 59. The over-under, just so you know, is 120 and a half seconds. I'm taking the over. I'm Poin.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When it comes to protecting my family's future, I want a life insurance company that's at the top of their game. That's why I got same-day coverage through Ethos. There was no paperwork, no waiting around, and no medical exam. I just answered a few health questions online, and Ethos set me up with a $3 million policy for about $2 a day. Go to checkethos.com and get it done today. That's CHECKETHOS.com. Checkethos.com. Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then, you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
The Extra Point
with Tyler Head and Gamecock Central
on the Game Network.
Like I said again, this team's embraced adversity. I don't think, you never know, but, the things even going back to the 2023 season, which we haven't talked a lot about since the beginning of the year, we're grateful for that. We're thankful for that. As bad as it sucked at the time, I know I'm grateful for that. I speak for myself. I'm grateful for that because it shaped us into who we are now, and why a big reason why we're back here sitting at this moment again. And so, embracing adversity is huge. And for your development as a person, as a player, as a coach.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jalen Tart along with you here on your Wednesday on the Game. That was voice of Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni talking to the media the other day and about the adversity of the Eagles getting back to the Super Bowl. And when you look at Nick Sirianni's record as a head coach, now in his fourth year with the Eagles, 48-20 overall, has made the playoffs every single year, now going into his second Super Bowl appearance against the Chiefs once again, you would think like, man, if you're just an outsider, you think, man, what a fabulous tenure Nick Sirianni's had at the Eagles. You would have any idea of the turmoil and the ups and downs just since that last Super Bowl, as he said. 23 season, 11-6, but lost 5 out of the last 6. Got bounced by a very less talented Eagles team in the first round of the playoffs, and now they've had to scratch and claw their way to get back here to the Super Bowl. So it's been an interesting road to get back to this matchup for a rematch with the Chiefs here 2 years later.
It has been interesting, and I meant to say this the last segment. Sirianni did come from the Colts.
Yes, he did.
He did. I meant to mention that as our only tie from the Colts. But anyway, it was a lot of question marks from Sirianni at the beginning of the season of how he was handling the team, the type of message and the type of energy that he was bringing into the locker room, even with Saquon. And somehow, some way, he figured out to turn it around to where it is so balanced, both on the offensive side of the ball and from the defensive side of the ball. And in dealing with the emotional roller coaster what Jalen Hurts went through, going into right now in the Super Bowl, that says something that you bring something unique to the table as far as coaching, and to make the playoffs every single year with a historical franchise like the Philadelphia Eagles with their fan base who tends to act like New Yorkers in a sense. But, that's pretty darn impressive.
It is.
Because any typical coach, if you make the playoffs one year and miss it the next year, you're more likely going to be on the hot seat until Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to find that consistency to get them to the Super Bowl twice in 3 years, that's amazing. It's pretty darn impressive.
And I think Nick Sirianni still has to prove himself in a lot of people's eyes because you look at that year they went to the Super Bowl. Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon got head coaching roles with the Colts and the Cardinals, respectively, after that. You bring in Brian Johnson and Sean Desai, and things go sideways the next year. Then you bring in Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio as offensive and defensive coordinators, respectively, and get things back on track. So I think a lot of people still look at Nick Sirianni saying, well, I don't know if it's him or if it's just the coordinators that he has in terms of success. And winning on Sunday, I don't think changes that in a lot of people's eyes. I think Nick Sirianni is going to continue to have to fight the conversation of validity for him as a head coach because so much is hinged on what his coordinators have done.
Yeah, that could be true. I think my personal opinion on that is it can be the coordinators, but it's about how you manage the team while your coordinators are giving out the gameplay, the game calls.
We've seen he's had trouble managing the team.
Yeah.
There was, this year, like, hey, did Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown have beef? What's going on there? Like, that was a conversation in, like, week 3 or whatever. So even in a great season like this, there's still controversy around the team.
Yeah, but the progress around the controversy is key because it was a lot of criticism of A.J. Brown wanting the ball. Then he brings his book, which adds more to the story. And now when you look at it the past 2 games, he's distributing the ball very with Devontae Smith and with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown looks like he's having a great time, receiving catches and whatnot, doing one-on-one coverages. So I feel like the team is in a really good spirits. My only question now is in the offseason, if they win or if they lose, what would the energy be like then? Is it going to be a situation to where it'll be worse than what we saw during the season, where he had to figure out a way to let the players handle their situations on the field and off the field? Is there some type of, meeting that he has to have with his captains or with the coaches? I mean, because now, if you think about it now, Kellen Moore is up for a head coaching position.
Yeah, he's probably going to get
offensively.
the Saints job here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's more.
Probably this time next week.
So now it's like Jalen Hurts is going to have another coordinator in the span of 4 years. 3 coordinators in 4 years is a revolving carousel, I should say.
Yeah, that's rough to work with, certainly so. And again, I think even winning on Sunday doesn't change the opinion in a lot of people's minds that I don't know how much Nick Sirianni is doing compared to his coordinators. I
don't think it does any. I mean, it's Sirianni.
Yeah,
it's not going to do anything. It's not like he is a Jim Harbaugh winning a Super Bowl after you win the national championship. That would be totally different.
Last minute here, what's your lean for this game on Sunday?
I got the Chiefs.
Okay,
I got the Chiefs because if they do not win, they're not ever going to three-peat again. And I feel like this is the only time that they can do it, and it's just something that us as NFL football fans want to see happen, even though they don't like Patrick Mahomes. It's some, typical now, like middle school kids don't like Patrick Mahomes because he keeps winning. Like how when we were growing up, it was Tom Brady that was winning a whole lot. It's the same thing now. But this is history here, and I think history will prevail, and I think Patrick Mahomes will get it done.
4 more days. We'll see what happens on Sunday, and we'll touch on a little bit more coming up next week.
What you got real quick?
I lean towards Chiefs.
Okay.
Until proven otherwise, I got to go towards the Chiefs.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Cool.
That'll do it for the Extra Point. Coming up next, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on your Wednesday on the Game.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.